Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video has been heavily requested. As most of you guys know, I've got a daughter called Ella who has just turned 2 a few weeks ago, and I have recently potty trained her literally overnight. No word of a lie, she potty trained like that. It was a dream. So I've been wanting to share my helpful tips and things that I've done in our little potty training experience so that I can help any of you guys who are thinking of venturing into the world of potty training. It's really not as difficult as what a lot of people make out to be, and I think there are a few things I've really stuck by that have made such a difference for us, so I just want to share them with you now. So if you've not already subscribed to my channel, I would love if you just hit subscribe to stick along for more videos in the future, and if you click the bell as well, it means that you'll get a notification anytime I upload a video so that you never miss one. The biggest thing you need to think of when it comes to potty training is my child ready? There are a few things that you can do to determine whether your child is ready to potty train or not. Age has a lot to do with it. A lot of people said to me when Ella was maybe about 18 months old, 19 months old, that she was ready to potty train, but I was heavily pregnant and it was just feeling like it was going to be too much effort to try and get her out of nappies at that stage, so we just held off for a little bit. And in doing that, we just kept chatting to her about the potty and about going to the toilet, and always making sure that we brought her with us when we were going to the toilet too, and just generally trying to get her used to being in a toilet sort of environment rather than just her nappies. So obviously I then had another baby and it was just easier to keep her in nappies at that point. I also then started to tell her that nappies were for babies because she would see her baby brother getting changed and all that kind of stuff. But basically what I'm trying to say is you need to make sure that your child is ready to go to the toilet, because if they're not ready, they just won't do it. It's always better to hang off a few months just to make sure they're definitely getting a grip of what's going on, rather than trying to force something that's just not going to happen. Things that I found that showed me Ella was ready to go to the toilet was expressing an interest to go. So sometimes she would say she wanted to sit up in the toilet, and for the last few months we have actually been sitting her on the toilet before she goes for a shower or a bath, and it means that she gets used to actually sitting there and knowing what happens. Sometimes she would do a wee, sometimes she wouldn't. Sometimes she's actually done a number 2 and we've been like, wow, that's amazing, but it's not really been a case of she knows what she's doing. It's maybe just been more of a coincidence half of the time, and it's just been good timing. So we've got her introduced to doing the toilet on the potty and in the toilet, but not fully going ahead with potty training, just more to give her an idea of what's about to happen. The next thing I would say, and it's quite a big one, Ella started to go to the toilet in private. Normally she would just be sitting playing and you would see that her face was going red and she was maybe doing a number 2, but then she started to like hide away or like go in another room or hide behind the furniture, or whenever she was maybe doing it right in front of us, if she was in her car seat, you would see she would get really embarrassed and she would start talking about everything else in the room just to distract us from what was actually going on. And because she had that sort of level of humility and embarrassment, I knew she was ready to go. She knew what was happening before it was happening, and she didn't want us to know that she was doing it. So that was another really sure reason that I knew she was ready to start potty training. And the next thing I would say that shows they are ready to start potty training is if they are whipping their nappy off and they do not want it on anymore. Just go with it and hopefully things will go to plan. So when I started with Ella, I did not go for a full shift on my first time. We decided to start her later on at night, and that was basically just so that we could get her used to the idea, and then when she went to bed, they do say that children process a lot of the information they've learned throughout the day while they're in their sleep. So I thought, what better way to get her sort of thinking about what's happening than to do it right before bedtime, and then obviously she can think about it during the night, and then the next morning it might not seem as much of a shock to her when she wakes up in the morning and realises we are potty training. After her dinner, before she was going for a shower, we kept her up for a few hours and we just played and had nappy free time. So we took her nappy off, just stripped her naked, and I also introduced her to her potty. I showed her her potty and I said, this is for doing wee wees and poos in, and mummy's going to stick it over here. And I showed her, we put it down, we said this is a good place to put it, and if you need to go to the toilet, you go in there and you tell mummy that you need to sit down on there and do the toilet. So we had this whole conversation and I was having her repeat it back to me, so we knew what was happening. It was dead cert. She knew there was no nappy on and we had to use the potty now. Another big tip is get your child to say goodbye to their nappy. So you take it off and you tell them no more nappies. Nappies are for babies and for bedtime. So I got Ella to repeat that. I've said, what are nappies for? And she would repeat back, they're for babies and bedtime. and then we said bye to her nappy and we put it in the bin, and we said no more nappies. I made her look and also touch to know that she's not wearing a nappy, and I told her if you do a wee it'll go all over mum's floor, so we can't do that. We've got to go in the potty. And always make sure that you're chatting to your child at their level so that they really know what's going on. Don't overcomplicate it, just tell them the simple facts. No more nappy, no wee-wees on mummy's floor, and then also use the potty. I left Ella to play nappy free, bare babe in the house, and went into the kitchen, tidied up all the dinner plates from dinner time, and next minute I could hear a tinkling noise coming from the living room, and there she was sitting on the potty doing a wee, and she was so proud of herself. She turned around, she said it's yellow, and she was so happy that she had done a wee in the potty, as was I obviously. So at this stage I just gave her lots of praise. We high-fived, big cuddles, we did a big dance, and she was so super excited that she managed to use the potty. And then I cleaned it all out and sat it back down again and said, good girl, remember next time if you need to do another wee you do it back in the potty. So I then go back into the kitchen to tidy up some more, and next minute she said there were 2 monkeys in her potty. So I went into the living room and looked in, and sure enough she'd done a number 2. So it was really simple from that stage, but going forward that is not something you could do all the time. It is not sustainable to have your child running around naked all the time, but that is what I did on the first night. And then we got her changed and put a nappy on and told her nappy is for bedtime. She went to sleep and that was good. We had a really successful first evening on potty training. So the next morning it is pants time, and I actually chose a pack of pants that had lots of different colours on the elastic around the top and around the legs, so that Ella could pick the colour of pants that she wanted to wear. You could obviously go and get character pants or something exciting for your kids, but I thought that she would like to choose her colours, plus it's a good way to make sure that she definitely knows all of her colours. We got those pants and we put them on her for the day, so she picked a yellow pair as her first pair. I just reinstilled what we chatted about the night before, and that was about going to the toilet. We don't do wee-wees in our nappy because we've not got any nappy on, look, not in your pants, all that kind of chat. And then we went into the toilet and I sat her up in the toilet to do a wee. And that leads me into my other big tip, which is do not buy a toilet seat until your child is fully potty trained. I just find that when you buy a toilet seat and it's nice and padded and comfortable, your child will sit on there for days on end. They will sit there and they will chat to you and they will sing and they will procrastinate, and that is not what this is all about. We want them to get on and off as soon as they can. So I tend to put Ella on the toilet without a toilet seat on it, and she would just hold on to my arms, because that way, and it sounds quite cruel, it's more uncomfortable for her, so she would ideally want to go off there as soon as possible as well. So she would more likely do her business very fast rather than just sit there and have a little chat with me. I did that in the morning, and then pants on, went down the stairs and just continued to every maybe 20 or 30 minutes ask her if she needed to go to the toilet, so that we didn't have any accidents. We would rather be more cautious and constantly asking our kids and constantly reminding them they have no nappy on and they've got pants on, and just always making sure they're aware of how they are and they've not got a nappy on. So it's better to constantly prompt them than to have loads of accidents, because it's harder to get their confidence back up again if they keep having accidents than it is just to make sure we don't dent it in the first place. When it comes to rewarding your child for going to the toilet, I would say do not over reward them. I've seen loads of these videos that say they have loads of treats ready and like loads of surprises when their child has gone to the toilet, but I would say, where does it end? You do not want to constantly be saying every time you go for a wee you get a chocolate sweetie. It just, for me, doesn't make much sense, because you should be happy enough that mummy's pleased with you and that you've done a good job, than having to constantly get stimulated with sweets and chocolate and crisps and juice and all the things that are kind of bad for them seem like they're good for them. I tended to only just give Ella sort of praise, and we would sing and dance and have a laugh, and she really got a buzz out of me being so happy with her. I would say that if you were to reward them on a treat basis, where does it end? They could then get to the point where they go to the toilet independently and they're like, remember that time I used to get chocolate for going to the toilet? Do you see where I'm coming from? So it's just, you kind of make a rod for your own back with the treat thing. If you've done it and it worked for you, then that's great, but I know for a fact every single time Ella went to the toilet she would want a treat. And not only that, but our children are clever. They are the master manipulators. They would know if I go to the toilet and squeeze out a tiny wee, I'll get a chocolate. So from that point of view, I know how clever my girl is, and I know for a fact she would do that on purpose. Another tip I have, and it might not be typically what you would hear on these kind of advice videos, but ditch the pull-up. I just think putting a pull-up on them is so confusing. Obviously when you're out and about, we don't want to have accidents and it's so embarrassing, and the pull-ups obviously minimise you potentially having an accident when you're out and about, but putting a pull-up on them, I know as soon as I put a nappy on Ella at night time for bed, she just does a wee in it. She knows right away. As soon as it's on, it's almost like a comfort blanket. She knows she can get away with doing one, and also if there's something she's more interested in doing rather than going to the toilet, she knows if she's got her nappy on, she can just do a wee or a poo and it's going to be caught and she's not going to get wet and she'll be quite happy. So I would say ditch the pull up, just go with the potential of having a wet accident and wet clothes and just take a change with you. It isn't the most pleasant thing in the world, but believe me, she hasn't had a pull up and she's been dry since we started this. The great thing about potty training is you no longer need to buy nappies, so just embrace that fact and ditch them. We don't need them. When you are on your second day, apart from all those tips, I would say make sure that they've got pants on, and also that the clothing that you choose for them for that day is really easy to get on and off. I chose to start potty training with Ella because it's summertime, it's warm enough to have dresses on, and I know for boys obviously that isn't the case, but for girls it's so easy when you can just whip dresses on and off them all the time. So we just put her in dresses with pants, and they were just easy to move the dress out the way so she could go on the potty or the toilet. I'd also say that when your child is learning to go to the toilet and they're maybe not keen to go, try and encourage them by buying them a really exciting hand wash. I know that sounds a bit mad, but we bought a Trolls hand wash and it sings. You literally, every time you push it, it sings the Princess Poppy song. So Ella absolutely adores it. Plus it's purple and it smells like bubblegum, and you get it from Home Bargains. I think it was maybe £1, so it's not expensive, and it also encourages hand washing, which is an absolute bonus when it comes to toilet training, because that's sometimes another kind of stumbling block we have somewhere down the line, where your kids will go and then they'll run out the door and they don't wash their hands. So definitely get an exciting hand wash for them. That is more fun for them to enjoy when they go to the toilet. Prior to toilet training, we already did this, but I would say really encourage your children to come along with you to the toilet. I know as a mum that's not something I need to even think of, because I no longer have the luxury of going to the toilet on my own. Normally I've got a baby under one arm and a toddler sitting on my knee, and I just have to go anyway. But if you don't do that and you manage to go to the toilet on your own, I'm jealous, first of all, and secondly I would say start doing that, because it normalises the behaviour for your kids, and if you're as lucky as me, they'll also cheer you on the way that you reward them. Because every single time I go to the toilet, Ella will say, "Well done mummy," and give me a huge cheer, which who doesn't want a cheer after they've gone to the toilet? It's an added bonus for us as well. On the third day, which is actually really the second day when you think about it, the second full day but the third day since you started toilet training, I would say take that opportunity to venture out of the house. So Ella had been dry basically the whole time we'd been potty training, so in my eyes she was good to go out on a trip. So we went out in the pram and we went a 15-minute walk to our local sort of retail park and went for a coffee. We didn't have to go out that day, but we wanted to get out for some fresh air anyway, and before we left we went to the toilet, because that is the absolute routine before you leave the house, is to go and try. So we went to try with Ella, and again she did the toilet, great, lots of praise, no treats, no snacks, and then into our buggy and we went a walk up to the shopping centre near us. And as soon as we got there, we went to the nearest toilet and tried again. And that's just so that she knows there are other toilets out there, so she's got to tell mum and daddy when she needs to go to the toilet. We went and she did another wee, and that was great. We then just did our shopping as we would usually do, and we left it probably about an hour, and then she told us that she needed the toilet. But at the very beginning, you need to remember they are not used to holding it in. As soon as they say they need to go, you need to run. Like, you need to put them under your arm and run to the nearest toilet, because like I say, trying to make sure that they don't have accidents is key in this, because you don't want to dent their confidence. It's really hard to bring them back up if they're constantly having accidents, because they don't feel as if they're doing it right, and it might actually just completely talk them out doing the whole potty training thing, and you might need to leave it for another few months. I would say the least accidents the better when it comes to potty training. We let her do the toilet an hour after we were shopping. When she told us, we went and we did it, and it was great. She was also used to the fact that we had no toilet seat cover. on the toilet because we hadn't used one yet. So it also stops your kids from freaking out when they go out in public, the fact that they don't have their little potty seat that sits in the toilet. Obviously you can carry one with you, but I just think you're probably better just putting them on it, because the idea of then storing that away in your bag kind of grosses me out a little bit. It sounds a bit disgusting. And also on that point of a travel potty, I would say a carry potty is an essential. You don't have to buy much when it comes to potty training, but if you're like us and you tend to go on longer journeys to maybe shops, or you go out big family walks, I mean we have a dog so we go out walks fairly often, and you're stuck, your child might not want to do the toilet on the ground. So we have got a little carry potty. I will leave a link to it in the description box below so you can go and have a look at the one we have. It's a cow travel potty and she absolutely loves it. She loves the fact that it's a cow design and it's all fun and exciting, and you literally just lift the lid off it. It's like a potty and it closes over again. So we have had to stop the car many a time to let her go out and use it, and it was also good when we were at the zoo because we were so far away from all of the other toilets and restrooms when we were there. So having the carry potty was so handy because it meant that we had a little toilet with us and tap just in case you needed to go. After that, I would just say you are good to go. If your child has taken well to all of those previous tips, then keep going with it. If they do have accidents, people say don't give them into trouble, and I would agree with that. However, I would say that they need to know it was wrong, so don't tell them it's okay right away. I think it's more of a shock factor, and we kind of tend to go with the uh-oh strategy. So anytime Ella had an accident, like I said, she had one in nursery, it's the only one she's had, and when she had an accident and we went to pick her up, we asked her, did you do a wee in your pants? And she said yeah, and we first of all just said uh-oh and looked a bit disappointed. And then once she said that she did it, she actually said sorry to us first, and we said it's okay, no big deal, just remember next time you've got to go to the toilet. So there's no shame in telling them it was wrong, just don't get on their case and give them into trouble, because you could totally put them off doing it forever. But guys, that is the end of my toilet training, potty training tips. I hope that if you are venturing into this sort of journey soon, that you go on really well. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask and anything I've maybe not covered in this video, then please leave them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you. Or you can obviously Instagram message me or Facebook message me. I'm always happy to get back to your messages. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos in the future and give me a big thumbs up if you liked it. See you soon guys, bye!